Times, yeah.
Okay,
Chairman,
so,
one moment, please.
Yeah.
Flag.
okay, good. Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order at 6:31. Roll call.
Deborah,
Here.
Gerardo,
Here.
Nathan, here, Kathy,
Here.
Larry,
Here.
Rob,
Here.
myself, and then you have to see, is that right?
Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion to seat Rebecca Solano, who is attending virtually.
Second.
Okay. Deborah? We have to vote on
Oh, yes.
seating. Okay. Gerardo?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Larry? Aye. Okay, and Brian?
Aye.
Okay, it passes, and then we will get the motion to seat Jean now. Okay, cool. Jean's in. Do we have to go back on the phone? I don't know how we, I thought John was shutting the. John, do we have,
She did not join us yet. I'm gonna call her real quick.
okay. Wait till public comment, or I think we can do public comment now. Are we waiting for them? Okay, I guess we will, while we're waiting, we'll start public comment. Looks like there's a sign up list. Okay, first would be Rosario Collin.
That's me.
Okay.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Rosario Colleen, and I am a children's reference assistant, and I have worked here at Waukegan Public Library for the past 9 years. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of myself and our union, the AFSCME, Council 31. After we decided to form our union, we came to a village board meeting to ask the new library board to work with employees and respect our decision to have a voice in helping WPL move forward. Many of you on the board attended that meeting. That's why we were very upset to hear about a change in the library safety policy without getting any input from frontline staff. There was recently an incident where a patron physically assaulted a member of our safety team. Even though that assault was unprovoked, the employee is being disciplined for the incident. The employee was written up even though multiple witnesses present agreed that the patron attacked him unprovoked, and he did nothing wrong. Even before the incident happened, there was a concern among staff about the policy change. Staff have faced sexual harassment, verbal abuse, and now physical assault from patrons. And we're worried that this policy change will allow banned patrons back into the library. We are also worried that if a patron does harass us, we might be the ones disciplined for it. We are on the front lines every day. We're the ones who know what the library needs most. And we are the ones who deal with patrons and public. While overall the library is a safe place to work, there are going to be incidents when it involves the public. And it's critical that the safety policies of the library consider what's best for both public and staff. We ask the board to reverse the change in policy about patrons and employee safety and refrain from any major changes as we prepare for bargaining. We look forward to putting together proposals which will benefit staff, patrons, and the community. Thank you.
You, next we have Ron.
Good evening. How's everyone? All right, my name is Theron Plains. I'm the safety officer here at the Waukegan Public Library. I've been here since June of 2016. All because of this gentleman right here. He hired me along with one of our other managers. And I'm the gentleman Rosario was referring to, who was physically assaulted day before Thanksgiving. something that, we're having too many instances where patrons are not only verbally assaulting us, but now it's getting physical. And it has to stop. And it's something that can easily be preventable, but I need your help. And this is not how we work. We were an award-winning library when I arrived. Okay? If we're gonna get back to that, we need some changes. And we need them fast. Because I have management, I'm getting calls at home, I have management that's very concerned, talking about long-time management, talking about, hey, if we don't get no change here, we're gone, we're out of here. And so it's up to you and young lady, Ms. Mayor Taylor, behind me to make these changes. I know we can get it done. I know we can be an award-winning library again. I'm being told that it's okay for a patron to come in and physically assault me. I don't agree with that. That's not the policy. That's not in our policy. It's just too many instances where patrons can come in and just do what they want. And the people defending the staff, myself, we're getting reprimanded. That is wrong. That we need a change here. We need a change. We've lost, when I started, we had over 70 employees, maybe closer to 75. Now we're barely maybe 50 employees. And I remember when bringing band patrons was first talked about, I was up in the boardroom with several departments. And I remember one of the reference employees was here at the time. And it was several of us. And they said, hey, if this happens, you're gonna see some major turnover. My whole management, the manager of the staff left, and all the employees there were right behind her. We had no reference staff for 6 months. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. All right. If our coworkers don't feel safe, not only should we feel safe, but the people coming in should feel safe. Okay. This man's here every morning when I open the doors at 10 o'clock. I open the doors 6 days a week. Okay, he's here every day when I open the doors. Now we need to feel safe as employees, or they're not going to stay. They're leaving. It's not because they found other jobs. That's not the reason. It's they don't feel safe. And the patrons need to feel safe too. But we have some guidelines we need to follow. The library is a place that should be quiet. It should be peaceful. It should be enjoyable, but not violent. There's no library. I visit other libraries. I talked to other directors, and there's no violence in other libraries, and it's not promoted either.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening.
Up next, we have Josh Bill.
Thank you and good evening to everyone. On behalf of the Board of Directors and membership of the Waukegan Historical Society, I would like to thank the Board of Trustees for their careful consideration of the future of the Ray Bradbury Collection, which has been entrusted into your care since 2012. As you consider your vote this evening, I hope that you also consider the Waukegan Public Library's mission to provide a path to empower and support learning and discovery. In the Historical Society's planning of the Ray Bradbury Room inside the Carnegie Library building, we plan to showcase the Ray Bradbury Collection with the highest standards of archival preservation, so that future generations might discover the books that inspired Ray Bradbury. Having these resources displayed in our museum, which will be open in the spring of 2023, will in fact empower students to learn and discover the interests and passions of the great science fiction writer, as well as the role of the original Waukegan Public Library played in shaping Ray Bradbury's life. Certainly, alongside the collection, we plan to exhibit and tell the story of our own Waukegan Public Library as well, and all the people who've been involved in that. We're excited to tell that story as well. As I mentioned in the letter of the Board of Trustees on December 2nd, the Waukegan Historical Society, alongside our longstanding partners, Waukegan Park District, are investing millions of dollars into the Carnegie building to restore it and to have it used as the future home of the Waukegan History Museum. We further are investing more than $300,000 on the Ray Bradbury Room so that the public may have access to this collection. So we're asking tonight for your support and your vote to transfer the ownership of the Ray Bradbury Collection in its entirety from the Waukegan Public Library to the Waukegan Historical Society. We do this so that the community may have access to the collection and bring Bradbury's books home to the building he loved so much, Carnegie. We've had a partnership with the library in the past on transfer of ownership of US EPA records, as well as resources on Waukegan's history. So our partnership, we look forward to that continuing. The historic building that captured Ray Bradbury's imagination is the ideal home for the Ray Bradbury collection. As you had the chance to read in Ray Bradbury's signed letter to Mr. Wayne Munn, there's no question that this is what Ray Bradbury wanted for his collection. Unfortunately, at the time of his death, there was no entity at the Carnegie to accept the donation. The Board of Trustees has the power to fulfill his true wishes and do the right thing now, and we thank you for your consideration on that.
Thank you. Next, we have Marianne Taylor.
I just wanted to comment, and again, I'm speaking just in general terms, I'm here as a guest. I would like to see the materials kept together. I think it's value in its entirety. So to have it broken up would be a shame. I think the Carnegie is a great place for it to be, and I want the collection kept together if at all possible. My second point is, it is very disturbing to hear about employees not feeling safe. As a leader in the city, I want all employees to feel safe in the buildings that they work in. And this is a city building. And I would like it if we would go out of our way to make sure that our employees are safe. That's all I'm going to say publicly about it, but I just wanted you to know that these are my feelings on both these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Richard Lee.
Hi, I'm Richard Lee. I was executive director here from 2003 to 2018. I'm here regarding tonight the Bradbury Collection. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for raised materials to have a proper place. You have a letter from me, you have letters from other people in support of it. I was in Los Angeles at Ray's home, helped pack that collection in 2013, and when it was delivered here, met with the family at that time. I think I have a good understanding of what they'd like to see with it, the Bradbury Foundation, and I think that it should be kept together. It should be on display. It should be enjoyed by our citizens. And also, after being the director for 15 years, I don't see how the library can possibly support those materials in the manner that they need to be in an archival environment. I know a lot of the members of the Historical Society and the Art District. I know Ty particularly,
The library will be closing in 15 minutes. Please make your final selections and proceed
He's a
to the self-check
professional.
station.
they're gonna hire a professional to oversee that collection so that it does not deteriorate anymore. It's extremely valuable, as you know. You've seen the appraisal. And I just think that if I was still director, I'd be urging you to gift that to the Park District and the Historical Society. Thank you for your time.
And last, we have Chris Wolf.
Yep, that's me. I was here the day that that incident happened involving a gentleman over there. Young lady we're talking about, in case you haven't met her yet, she's sort of disappeared, but she's weird. If you meet her, she's not Vanessa Williams, she's not Beyonce, she's not Halle Berry. She's been told many times to quit dancing. turn the computer down when she's playing music. I guess she had enough of being told what for. She took it out on him the day before Thanksgiving, walking up to him like, that's what happened. I saw it. He tackled her. And after that 5 rolled up, cops didn't haul her in. They gave her a citation. And she kind of skippered away. So, you know. But all in all, pretty much when, like he said, I'm the first one here in the morning. And the pants people show up and they usually hang around the corner over here. They're pretty quiet. Some are, you know, no real trouble. I've seen none of them. You know, but one will cause one if you don't know them. You get a new batch every time, you know. But all in all, whatever her name is, she's disappeared. If you really want to have somebody more authoritative than I had to talk to you about her, you ever hear a guy named Joe Flora? Well, he's a commander with the Waukegan Police Department. He's up the street. He works daytime. You want to talk to him about her, he'll tell you. He's talked to her. I think half the force knows about her. So that's all I can say. But I saw what happened with him. He should have gotten in trouble for defending himself. I think she broke his glasses. Yeah. She did, yeah. And he had to lay on her to keep her, you know, she got all uptight about it. Well, obviously, when the cops did show up here, she's just standing between 2 of them, looking stupid. You want to call it that, you know, what did I do? I didn't do anything. That kind of thing. We don't want to, a bar I go to down here, we don't want her even in there. She's not, like I told you, Beyonce or, you know, Vanessa Williams, she's whoever she is or whatever her name is. So if you know what's good for you, keep her out of here. You know, I don't think you're gonna see her anymore. I think she did disappear. Or you hang around somewhere else. There you go. Pretty much that's it.
Thank you. Do we have any other? Okay. So next on the agenda is approving the agenda for today, for December 15th, 2021. Make a motion that the agenda be approved as presented.
I move the agenda be approved as presented.
Second. So this way, Brian?
Aye.
Oh, is this in all? Can we do all in favor? Yeah, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstain? Okay. Moving on to the next thing. Moving the minutes of November 17th, 2021.
Yeah, so we should have all gotten the minutes last week. So hopefully we all got a chance to go over it from our last meeting. So then, unless there was any errors that anybody noticed, I want to call for a motion to approve them as presented.
I motion to approve them as I motion to approve them as presented.
Got it.
Okay.
Right, so all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Those. Sorry. It passed.
Okay. Up next on the reports is first the acting executive director's report. John?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy holidays. I hope that everyone's doing all right. I sent an email out this morning at 10:47. I'll summarize it to keep it brief so we don't go too long. The new format, the way that we're sharing information with trustees, hopefully that was helpful. And the way to kind of sum it all up, we make it a commitment to make sure that a week in advance of next month's board meeting, you have as much information as you can possibly put together. For the board meeting, the packets will be done by a week in advance. I wanted to suggest the business office, things are good, budget is sound, we are in the black. Nothing out of the ordinary this month. We are preparing a draft budget, so I welcome the finance committee at the finance meeting, and I also welcome you, members of the board of trustees, to meet and discuss the budget and have a conversation about what we submit to the city. Before we do so, which is due at the end of February. And I wanted to talk to everybody as far as HR. We have 2 positions that we filled. The reference librarian position has been offered and accepted. And the customer service clerk 2 full-time position has been offered and accepted. So we're getting people back on board. We've narrowed the field for the marketing and events coordinator. Cindy has accepted the position in acquisitions department to work with collection management department to work with acquisition. Filling in the position of retired Iris. And so that'll leave 2 full-time reference positions in the reference department. We're going to repost the HR position more inclined toward HR professionals, so to their various venues rather than to Indeed, because we're getting too much randomness. We want to really select somebody who's going to be good, especially with some of the changes up and coming. We need somebody who knows exactly what to do whenever we do things in terms of HR. We've struggled through, but we're gonna get a really great professional to join the library team. As far as the maintenance, we're all set for winter. The building is looking better than ever. We have moved the friends that graciously moved into the sorter room, replacing an empty space that was our kind of our service window during the pandemic. And we've got a close eye on the rising numbers in our community and in our country. So we're going to continue to work hard to keep our staff and patrons safe from the pandemic and from the virus and from each other. And our goal with the new year is to bring in more outside organizations so that more people can use these big, beautiful spaces, just to do so safely without creating risk. And we want to make sure that this library is fully used. We're going to ease into it rather than jump in at first into a pool with not as much water as you may not be able to see the bottom. At this point, the IT, we have our new catalog is live for public viewing. There's a link on the catalog page where you can check out Vega. And also the traditional catalog will be alongside so that you can still search the old fashioned way. But so far, no complaints. We're almost ready to launch our WPL app, which it's in testing phase now. We have a draft template to test around and experiment with the staff to learn how to use our new app. And so we can teach the patrons how to use the app as well. It brings a lot of neat features of the library together into one place. As far as admin, I mentioned before, we're working on getting this information to you as early as possible. So, and also exploring board docs for our meetings. There's a learning curve for us and there will be for the trustees as well. So I request patience while we navigate this new way of sharing information. And I thank everyone for their support and wish everyone a happy holiday. Thank you.
Next, we have the assistant director report. Gail?
Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to be short and brief this one. Anna's going to be passing out the packet that you request that shows all of our different programs that are coming up. So on the front page, we have some upcoming programs, and you are all invited to participate and attend. Again, looking to raise awareness and engagement in our community with our programming and with our staff. This weekend, we're having a poetic storytelling with William King will be here. And that is going to be drumming and storytelling and music. So we've been working to get a lot of community members and children into this event. The holiday story time, which kicked off our guest reader series, is going well. Mayor Taylor
The
is one of
library
our
will be
readers.
closing in 5 minutes. Please prepare to exit the building. La biblioteca se cerrará en 5 minutos. Por favor, prepárate para salir del edificio.
And today at 6 p.m., Holly Kim's recording kicked off, and we have 2 more this month. The guest reader series is going so well that we'll be continuing it next year. We do have a full plate for February, which is Black History Month, and I'm asking for staff as well as our board members, if there are people that you know from the community that would be a great guest reader, send me those names. We want to keep this going, not on a weekly basis, but at least 2 guest readers per month moving forward. In terms of children's services, they had a wonderful children fantastic event. We have some pictures from that, as well as the United Way Learning Club, which has been very impactful in our community. Had a conversation with some United Way folks to be appreciative of the work of the library and the early learning clubs that go on here. The holiday wreath is up, welcoming and inviting into the children's department. That's on page 2, as well as a wonderful book display, looking at books as gifts, holiday display gifts, and displays of holiday seasonal books. For the teens, we are, so you see an implementation of the by age 1 flyer. We're reducing our print to have less print, but more information. So we'll be seeing a monthly children's and teens and adult flyer, in addition to the quarterly newsletter that you receive. Larry has that one in his hand. So for the teens, this month, which will be December, of course, there's a full schedule of things to do for no time in school, drop in the library, and participate in some excellent activities, as well as over winter break. Adult services, you get to look at the 1 month adult services programs. We highlighted Cindy's crafts, peppermint bath salts. You again are invited to participate. And this is an example of a program that as we move forward, we'll be looking at piloting some hybrids where we can have people in the building participating in the program, but also showing it through Zoom, through our Facebook chat, so that we can have people who might not be comfortable coming in, we can still build capacity to have more people enjoying programs. So we have the equipment, and we're going to be asking staff to volunteer to pilot one of their programs, so we can do it in that manner and use that technology. Last but not least is adult education services. I think there's some ongoing confusion. In adult education, we are providing programming on site as well as virtual. This month, we're just highlighting all of the different digital literacy and workforce focus. As the year ends and the new year begins, people are always looking for a job. I know it doesn't seem that way in the pandemic right now with all these open jobs, but we hear it every day when people come in and say, I still need help to find a job. So in January, we'll be launching, these are all ongoing classes, but starting up the classes for January. And last but not least, moving into 2020, we'll be having a checkout WPL in 2020 focus. This is an ad that is appearing in the Waukegan Park District brochure for the winter edition. And it's also kind of a theme that we'll be playing off of for January and February. There'll be some new vinyl signage outside the building, welcoming people in, letting them know what's going on. Check us out in 2022. As John said, as we launch the new app and other things, will all sort of be part of that campaign. The new mailer that went out to 6008587. And we are also piloting manual distribution. So working with the school districts and communities of faith, the Waukegan Housing Authority, and some local stores, where we want to have paper versions of the newsletter so that we can make sure it's getting into people's hands that for whatever reason don't receive the mailer. That's it. If there's any questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Gail. Next, we have the finance committee report. Larry?
Thank you. Yes, well, in the package you have before you, trustees, there's 2 documents related to the finances proceedings. The first is the summary of
Library is
actual.
now closed. Please exit the building. La biblioteca ahora está cerrada. Por favor, salga del edificio.
The first document is summary of actual versus budgeted results for the 7th month ended November 30th of 2021. It's a 1-page document. And our finance committee met earlier this evening. We didn't have a forum. And Anna Griffin, our business manager, would you like to give us please, the highlights of this document?
As the end of November, we increased the 7 months into our fiscal year. So if we annualize it, technically we should be about 58%, but our expenditure is only at 48%. But the revenue, we are giving all our revenue whole because we collect property tax in the beginning of the year because we pay property tax in June in September, so property tax comes in at that time. And there's no surprises, we're pretty much in line with the expenditure. And compared to last month, we have some jump in terms of expense trends. One is in administrative services because we paid the appraiser to appraise the Bradbury Collection. And the other one is in tech services because we paid for community. That is the one for the app that John talked about earlier. So no surprises in terms of finance. Next month will be our yearly payment for the bonds, but so far, we're good.
Yes, our finance committee reviewed it, had no questions. Everything appears to us to be appropriate according to the current time of the pandemic and all the rest of that. So, any other questions, any comments on the summary actual versus budgeted results? All right, so let's move on to the monthly board check detail for the Waukegan Public Library for November 2021. And our finance committee reviewed this in full. We had several questions, but they were all well explained and very appropriate. We had a motion second and approved to bring it to the board tonight for your review. So, any questions, comments about the monthly board check detail for November 2021? Hearing none, I would request a motion to approve the monthly board check detail for November of 2021 for the Waukegan Public Library.
A motion to approve it.
Is there a second?
I second.
Very good. Okay, it's been a motion and seconded to consider the monthly board check detail for November 2021. And I don't have the roll call roster in front of me, so perhaps our president could do that part of it.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll start with Rebecca.
Yes.
Okay, Jean,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Gerardo,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Brian.
Yeah.
And Ron. Yes. Okay, the motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the governance committee report. And I can help out with that, James, and I was there. So we started a process of looking at, making a plan of looking through the policy and figuring out how we're gonna tackle it. Not much else to say. By January 5th, 2022. Okay, any other questions?
And that's open to the public.
Yes. Okay, then development committee.
Yeah, so we met a few weeks ago for the first time in a long time. We discussed technology. That was a big thing that we discussed during our meeting. One of the things we're trying to do is remove barriers and make trainings more accessible to all the board members. So I know when it comes to technology, regardless of who you are, sometimes people are more apt with the technology that's out there. And so we're trying to figure out how to support all the board members with the different types of technology that there are. And so we discussed different ways to accomplish that. And so those are some of the things that the development committee will be looking at in the next coming meetings to figure out how we can always be on the same page, whether it's with the reports we're getting or any updates that we need to get. Our next meeting is on January 26th because the holiday next week. So we're not meeting next week.
Next is the search committee report. We met before the previous board meeting and just this hour ago. Worked on the RFP that you should see in the board packet and worked on the job description as well. Coming up with a plan of how we're going to send out the request for proposal. I will be discussing that more later on the agenda, so next meeting will be an hour before the next full board meeting, which is okay. 19th of January. Cool. Fun. So yeah, next we have our new business. I know.
Sorry, when was the next meeting? Sir?
January 19th.
We need an hour before the full board meeting. And John's working on something. Yeah. John, we're ready for the non-resident fee, whenever you're ready.
Okay. So every year, per state law, we have to approve a non-resident fee, and there should be a document in your resolution 2021-01. The cost per capita has risen to 142 per year. It's a calculation that counts the number of people we serve times, oh gosh, now it's slipping my mind. Number of people we serve divided by, help me out there.
Property tax.
Right, the amount of money we take in from the property taxes, and then it's multiplied by 2.89, which is the number of average household size in Waukegan. That gives us a total of 142 per person. We very seldom, if ever, sell non-resident cards, but we have to set this by state law. And we'll probably have to revisit this again close to the end of the fiscal year, beginning of the next. Because this one only goes through April 30th of 22.
Well, I'll motion to approve the cost of the non-resident library card as prescribed by state law.
Okay. Go in order, Rebecca,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Gerardo,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Rob, yes. Okay, that passed. Next on the agenda is the request for proposal. You should have seen that in your packet. Right after the resolution. Did anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Before we vote on sending it out? I think the only thing we talked about during our meeting was we probably need to make an amendment of the actual current staff number, John, which we have to get from you. So I don't know the legality of that to get staff in. You can do whatever you want on this. Okay. Yeah. So guess we can kick that after.
Well, I will motion to approve the request for proposal to send to search firms.
I guess we'll vote now.
Could we have start discussion on this point? Yeah, so regarding all this, perhaps I missed it, do we have anywhere in this document in which we're planning or anticipating on spending for this search? Or like a ceiling, or how much we would spend?
We don't.
I'm sorry,
We don't.
So is that typical for this sort of?
Generally, you wouldn't want to publish what it is you're expecting to pay for the service, because then all of your bids are going to come in at that dollar figure. So it's not unusual to do that. Okay. Vote. Rebecca,
Yes.
Jean? Yes. Mary?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Nathan?
Yes.
Gerardo?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay. As approved. That's sent out to the search firms. Okay, next on the agenda is the intergovernmental agreement. Are you ready?
I will defer most of the data because Gail has done most of the communicating about the Illinois libraries presented the pilot program, kind of championed by Northbrook Public Library and various other libraries in this neighborhood to bring world-class authors to virtual programs and shareable amongst the consortium. So this right now is a 6-month pilot for about $750. Hopefully it takes off and we can re-up after 6 months. But Gail, do you want to give any detail or does that sum it up? Or
That sounds like quite interesting.
what we presented last month? So
Absolutely.
nothing has changed since when we last presented. But it does require board approval.
Anyone have any questions or amendments?
I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement.
I'll second.
Okay. We'll go in order again. So Rebecca,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Gerardo,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
myself, yes. Okay. That was approved. Thanks, Gail.
Thank you.
And next, we have the Ray Bradbury Collection.
So before we go into that discussion, I'm going to sit out because I have a conflict of interest with this. I'll just move back. So I'm not.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep. We got it.
So opening the floor to discussion, thoughts. Time that we can all chat together about it. Into the meeting. Yes, I did. Yes, sorry.
I have a document before me. It's like thought came this afternoon it came today. From our acting director, John Gaskill. Her term of title is called acting director memorandum of understanding. And it's the final, near the bottom of the paragraph. Our acting director was expressed concerns about gifting the fire collection to the intended host or the requested host. So John, I would just, the thing is that I am not a librarian. I'm very keen interest in libraries and reading in them. I am not a professionally certified librarian or director is. So John, I would just be curious if you could elaborate, if possible, your thoughts on what you wrote.
When we started the discussions with the Parks and the Historical Society back in October of 2020, the discussion was to make a long-term loan. We embarked on an appraisal of the collection so that we could make sure that we're properly insuring the collection for its value. And similarly, that if we were to transfer the loan would require us to put the value of the collection and make sure that the organization would have adequate insurance. At this point, it took until November, early November, like the 6th, to get the appraisal back. And so not until that point did we actually have any understanding of the value of the collection. Now, as a librarian, I am a protector of the books. That is my role of what we're taught in school, and we are here to provide access to said books to people in the community as a public librarian. If I were an academic, it would be for my students. If it were for a school, it would be for the kids. And that's my goal. I am coming into this and have only had stewardship of said collection since February of 2020. So I have taken that time to try and familiarize myself with all the documentation that came along with the collection, the 300-400 pages worth of legal documentation and the like. And I am not presumptuous, and I cannot suggest I know what Mr. Bradbury would have liked to have done with this collection, except that he made clear in his will that he wanted it to go to the Waukegan Public Library. We've had it for less than a decade. It was not a part of the strategic plan from 2015 to make it a priority. It was a back burner project for our organization. And we are here, as you look around you, to loan things to people. We're here not necessarily to be an archive or a repository of books, but this is a unique circumstance. And Ray Bradbury not only is a hometown son of Waukegan, but he is an icon. And to consider, I sent along a copy of Philip Roth made a donation to the Newark Public Library, and Newark, New Jersey accepted it and a $2 million donation along with it to so take care of the collection. I believe that's what the intention was when all of the wrangling was said and done, that the library was to take ownership and possession. It isn't necessarily the building as much as it is the institution of the public library that inspired Mr. Bradbury to become what he became. And I just want to encourage us to pause that we have after conversation with trustees, and each of you I've talked with a little bit or at length about this collection. I encourage pause because half of our board is new and doesn't have much context in regards to this. I know that the Parks and the Historical Society are on a timeline. I believe that this can be worked out. And again, as of February of this year, the agreement was a loan instead of its donation. And at this point, I'm not trying to split the collection up or sell it. We had a reference manager that was getting volunteers to evaluate the thing for sale. And Jonathan Neller came and asked us, please don't sell anything, because you never know what's in there until it's been gone through with fine tooth comb. I think it's an incredible opportunity for the library to partner with the Parks and the Historical Society to make this collection accessible. I just want to encourage pause and reflection before we make any hasty decisions, because most of you are only new for 3-4 months and want to get your heads wrapped around what it means to be a trustee and what it means to protect this building, this collection, and this community as its role. The library has a responsibility, and so do you as trustees. And so it's not my recommendation or my decision that makes the decision here. It's up to you 9 trustees to decide. I just want to encourage everyone to have thoughtful conversation around it. And again, I think the benefits and the possibilities are endless with this collection. I was really excited because it was going to be our foot in the door to this beautiful new building and museum for Waukegan. And I feel like if we divest ourselves of any ownership of said collection, we will lose the possibility of that. And it may falter after a year or two and we're no longer involved. And there's nothing to send people from here to there or there to here. Now, again, I'm just asking for a bit of caution and an urging the trustees to make a decision based on logic, not on feelings. Because at this point, I want to be a good partner and I want to encourage the library to participate as a partner in this community, but I don't want to lose the benefit that this was gifted to the library at Mr. Bradbury in his will, as part of his wishes. And I don't want to step on his good name or that decision without thorough discussion, argumentation, and debate, and a decision from the 9 of you unanimously, ideally. So I don't have a whole lot to elaborate upon, but I do just want to reiterate that this requires us to take our time and do it right and make sure that we don't do anything hasty. We've had it for 7 years and there's no reason to jump into something without fully considering all the options.
Thank you, John.
And I would like to follow up with this for the comment when, what your call.
Do you just want, Larry, if you want to follow up and then we'll do G?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I have put a great deal of thought into all of this, and I'm very impressed with what the Carnegie Library Foundation, Historical Society, Waukegan Historical Society is undertaking. I've viewed the premises over there. It's very impressive. They have great plans. It's very exciting. And I will note, and I board packet tonight, as it was in our board packet last month. We do have a draft of a agreement between the Waukegan Public Library and the Park District about a 20-year loan to the Park District, the library, to exhibit the Bradbury Collection. So I think that's a very legitimate and very well done document. And all I can tell you is this, that everything I understand about Ray Bradbury, he loved libraries, loved libraries. And as a boy, that was our library. It's the library on Washington Street in Sherman Road. Now, this is the library. We got the collection. And in looking at this letter dated June 4th, 2007, from Mr. Bradbury, he's talking about the Carnegie Library. He's very proud of it and very excited that we're all got going. Page 2, to demonstrate my sincere support, I am considering the dedication of a portion of my personal collections to the project. This is a portion. The exact details and requirements will be worked out as we progress. I'm not suggesting that the mayor made a good point. I think we have a good point to keep it in full, intact. But that's when I look at this agreement, 20-year loan agreement, it appears to do just that. And yet we, as a library, that Ray Bradbury so loved and cherished, the Waukegan Public Library. I just feel, really honestly, I feel it would be a betrayal to him to just give it away. I really do. One more thing real quick. We have a statue of Ray Bradbury in front of our library. It's a beautiful statue looking up at the heavens. You know, the great idealist, the great writer. I was a contributor to that statue. This is so appropriate. Anyone who enters the Waukegan Public Library, there's that statue of Ray Bradbury looking up, looking forward into the future. I am all for the Carnegie Library and the Historical Society having this collection. I still feel that we have a commitment, an obligation, and a duty control of that collection. And I think this 20-year loan agreement perhaps needs a little tweaking, but I think it does just that.
Thank you, Larry. Jim?
I just want to know what was the reason for no longer wanting to go along with the loan and the reason to give it to them now? Why was there a change in what was originally, what brought that on? Nobody?
Sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
Oh, I was just gonna respond. I believe from my understanding is that when the loan was discussed, it was prior to the plans to have the whole Carnegie Library renovated with the Ray Bradbury Children's Room. Possibly, or maybe it was kind of in conjunction with it. I don't know if someone could just clarify that.
When we met in February, we had the next action points were for the library to conduct a review of the collection, get an appraisal, and then to continue our discussions once that appraisal came back. And that appraisal took until November. He started at the end of July. He was booked up until July. So it took until July to get him here at the end of July. When he did come and appraise, it took him 5 days to do his work, and then he went home and had 18 weeks per the contract to complete, which he got it in early November, about 4 weeks in advance of his 18-week line. Up until that point, that was the understanding was it was for loan. Now, this, since we've met with Ty and Lori and got a better understanding, they believe that it would be in their best interest to own the collection rather than invest in a collection that they do not own, primarily because they wouldn't be able to apply for grants because they don't own the collection.
So the park district and Carnegie wants this so that they can use it as collateral versus leaving it with the library and displaying it. Am I correct?
Or they wanted to outright ownership so that they could invest in it. As I explained to Rob and myself. Does that sum it up?
If I could, I've gone back and forth on this a lot, giving this a lot of thought. Lori can attest to calling, having conversations with her on my way home from work. I think it would be, from my perspective, I think it would be good to gift it to them. And here are some of the reasons why I'm thinking that. First of all, obviously, we're all supportive of the Carnegie Library and excited about what that will bring. I feel like this would allow that to go forward. I think that that's in general a good thing for, as a resident of Waukegan, as someone who loves Waukegan, I think in general that's a really exciting thing. I'm excited to take my kids there. I also think from the library perspective, right, we only have so many resources in terms of people and funds. And so is this something that we as a library are best, as a public library, are best equipped to do? Or is this something, because it is a more of an archival, historical thing, would those things be better, would those resources be better invested in things like outreach? And, again, because we only have, because you're working with limited resource, everyone's working with limited resources. I think it will make the collection accessible, which it has not been for the last number of years. And so when it comes to evaluation, I understand the value of it, but it's about access. In library world, it's not as much about ownership, it's about access, right? It's making these resources available to people. And I feel like the Historical Society would be a good fit for making that accessible. I think the library has a number of priorities. And so I feel like the Historical Society would be the best ones. Make it accessible. It would keep the collection together. And that's where the value is. I mean, you can value it at whatever, but that's not like the disparate value of the volumes. The value of this collection is what it tells us about Ray Bradbury as a whole. And so the value is in keeping it together. And I feel like in terms of keeping it together, maintaining it, in terms of making it accessible, I think that the Historical Society is well positioned to do that. So for those reasons, I would support gifting it to.
I'm still on the confused side, I'm sorry. If they were going to be loaned this for 20 years, the entire collection, from what I remember, there was never any discussion of giving them part of it, not giving them part of it. Why is it now that they don't want to take it as a loan, they want it as a gift? What's the difference? And you're still getting it.
Yes.
And you were saying it would be a lovely thing to take your kids to, that your kids could still go there because it would still be there. It would be there for 20 years. What is the reason now to want to have it as theirs? And I just want to explain to me so I can make a decision.
Right. Yeah.
If it was a gift, if it was a loan and you got it, or whether it's yours and you got it. What is the difference?
I think that and I don't know at this point, Rob, if you want to open that, but from my conversation with the Historical Society, what I gathered was that that because they would be investing so much in terms, and as someone who works in the library, I can appreciate that. investing so much in maintaining the collection, that to then have the chance that later it could be revoked or brought back after they had invested all of that money and resources into the collection,
Into the collection.
into maintaining it,
So why
displaying
couldn't-
it, preserving it. So then that wouldn't necessarily, like, yeah, you wouldn't want to, it's like renting a house versus owning, right? Like if you're renting a house, you want to keep it nice, but if you own the house, there's that extra level of commitment and investment to make it, because that house is yours.
So maybe the original proposal could be written up, whereas everybody's putting forth money to keep it up to what they would be putting into it. Instead of them spending all the money to keep it up, everybody put into it to keep it up. I just don't understand. If they were getting it, they're getting it.
I think from my understanding, Jean, what John just said is that if, like, and I like the analogy, Nathan, that you just used about the house, is that the historical society can't get money to fix the books and display the books by grants if they don't own it. Just like if you wanted to renovate your house, you couldn't get a grant to renovate your house if you didn't actually own the house, if you were just a tenant. There's no programs for you to work on fixing your house if it's not yours. And I think that's what John just said, was that it really comes down to the money and the grants available for the historical society to be able to work the collection, display the collection. Obviously, it's going to cost a ton of money from the park district and historical society for them to work on that building. They want to know that it's theirs, which makes sense to me. I mean, they're putting all the money into it. I don't think the library should split the cost with them, because I think the library, I see it as the different mission to do programs and, work in a different capacity in the community rather than in like the historical preservation field, like the historical society is.
I personally, my personal feeling is I don't think that we should rush into doing it. We need to discuss this a whole lot more, make it understood what's going on.
We're gonna let some others speak. And
No, of course, yes. Absolutely.
My point is this: I'm concerned about what Ray would have. Okay, now in the trust documents that I read, it said that Ray wanted the Waukegan Public Library to have his collection. In that document that you referred to on page 2, it says he would like Carnegie to have a portion of his collection. Now, Ray loved the library. He was very instrumental in keeping that building from being torn down. So he was very vested in the Carnegie building as well. And I know that we've had a discussion here that we want to keep the collection together because that way it's more valuable. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but I am confident that we should consider what this man wanted done with his belongings. And he said, give it to Waukegan Public Library. When that trust was created, before he died, he knew that this building was Waukegan Public Library. And since he was instrumental in making sure that the Carnegie building didn't get torn down, he knew about that building. He loved it as well. He wanted some things there. So not that I haven't made a decision yet in my own mind, and I agree with Jean that we might maybe need to think about this a little bit more and toss facts around. However, I think that in my mind, it's paramount what this man wanted done with these were his belongings. That's my 2 cents.
I've been very, very on the fence on this, and I've read over his wishes, which to me means that the library owns this. I thought that the lease would, a long-term lease would be a great way to allow the Carnegie to display this, to bring people in, to be successful. I think this would be a great boon to Waukegan to have this museum with the Bradbury Room and everything that I saw, the plans, it looks like it's very well done. But gifting it just, I don't know, it seems wrong. From his wishes, from Ray's wishes. And God forbid that the museum didn't succeed, had to close its doors or something. Then what happens? What happens to the collection? Goes back to the library. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I really resonated with Nathan's comments about the collection. I've been thinking about, again, like the activation of spaces and these items, the books. And, you know, no one's interacting with them at the moment. And there are stories we want to tell. And to a degree, that's the overlapping mission that we all want to do, is tell stories and bring people in and engage with them. And I can see, I understand the difference between the loan and the gifting. And as we just said, if it fails, it comes right back. And I'm in favor of gifting it. It helps them financially as well.
Mary?
If we give, my understanding, when you give a gift, it doesn't just come back if something goes wrong or fizzles at the other end. It's up to the historical societies, I would understand, the gift, to decide what to do with it. It doesn't necessarily mean it would come back to the library. And the other, just a few more quick points. I notice we're getting long-winded here with this. But this is important. I mean, this collection is a major thing. Now, we have a very amicable and wonderful art district now, with wonderful people at the head and a wonderful historical society, as I understand, 10 directors altogether, 6 members and then their administrative board. It's a wonderful outfit now. But what's the future going to hold? I'm just saying, we don't know. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, what's that with Waukegan Historical Society going to be like? We, as Waukegan Public Library, the other thing is the Waukegan Historical Society, just the way it's structured. You get to them, you go through the Park District trustees, and then you get to so you go there and then you go over to the Carnegie trustees. We, as Waukegan trustees, Waukegan Public Library trustees, we are the direct line between the public and us. There's no, well, you gotta go here and you gotta go there and then you gotta go. No. We're it. Again, I see this as a public trust. Now in 7 years, this collection has gone from $431,000 back in 2013 to $1.2 million in July of 2020. Tripled. Now, I understand from this collection that approximately 20%, and John, you can correct me or anyone, but approximately 20% of the collection is priceless. In addition, there are a number of duplicate books. Some of his books, some of other books that don't obviously have the same value. And in the future, not to break, the 20% would remain intact, but this could be a source of some fundraising or something for our library. How do we know what the future holds for us and what our needs will be? You know what? I'm pretty confident there's always going to be a Waukegan Public Library. I'm not so confident there's always going to be a Waukegan Historical Society. One more thing real quick. I have gone to a number of museums, places over the years, and I see in those institutions, this painting or this relic, whatever, is on loan from the loaner. In the agreement that was drafted, that would be a part of it, that we would, any exhibits that are shown over there would be loaned from the Waukegan Public Library. So again, there's the nexus between those exhibits and the Waukegan Public Library. The library, again, which Ray Bradbury was all about libraries, public libraries. He would just beam, I believe, to see Waukegan Public Library on every one of those exhibits loaned by. Now, final thing. For instance, the Art Institute of Chicago, very close to us. They're renowned for their collection of French Impressionism. Monet, for instance, they have the Monet waterlilies. They're renowned. They're second to the Louvre for their collection of Impressionism. This is what they're known for. Do you think they would? What if someone came to the Art Institute and said, we want you to gift the French Impressionism to us? This Ray Bradbury collection is not a Monet, it's not a Rembrandt. But it has the same concept here. This collection is priceless. There aren't any others like it in the world. It's tripled in the last 7 years in value. If we just go giving it away and gifting it. Again, as some already have said here, and I feel that the loan agreement, we could tweak it, we could improve upon it. I just think it's a terrible travesty. You just give it away. You just give it away. I need more time to think about all this. I'm not prepared.
Real quick, I just wanted to answer one thing that Larry brought up. I'm gonna mess up the word, and I know I will, but the accession, if based on the loan or transfer agreement, it would have a clause in there that would be returned to the donor first before it was going elsewhere, just to ease that idea. On the rest. Okay. Anybody else want to add anything else?
Could I say something just briefly?
I don't know it's up to the board to give dispensation, but.
I appreciate the conversation, and everyone in this room cares about this collection. So, sure. I think some very valid concerns have been brought up. I would like to just specifically address yours. You asked why the change in the loan, and again, we would like to display this for the community to enjoy it. And I understand with the loan agreement, I understand what's being said tonight. But a lot of doors close on us if we just have a loan in terms of the proper care of that collection. That's really what we want, first and foremost, the community to see it, and also for the collection to be cared for as best as possible. So that's our concern, and that's part of why this change. But I do appreciate the question. I appreciate the thoughtful discourse of all the trustees. We all care deeply about this collection. As the president just said, that there would be a clause. We have deeds of transfer that we use often, and we can easily and have many times, and would be certainly willing to this time as well. Should it be transferred to us, say that you would have the first return if something should happen, if the historical society should cease to exist. Is the wording we typically use. So, but we understand the concerns, and certainly the collection was given to the library board of trustees. We respect that. We've made our request, and I very much appreciate your concern for the community as well. We share that. We share that concern.
Were you involved when we did the loan process?
I was, yeah.
So at that time, it wasn't a problem, right? And what happened to make you change your mind to not want it to be
So I don't,
But,
Sorry.
and I heard what you said, but
Yeah.
you knew at that time that there was gonna be these costs that were gonna be needed to take care of your books. What happened?
so you can, I was gonna quickly answer you that. When our board, and I don't want to speak for my entire board of trustees, we're not here, we have a few members, but when our board saw that agreement, and we never acted upon it, but there were concerns about several parts of the agreement, including a recall, that the collection could be recalled at any time. And we just weren't comfortable moving forward with that. Right, what would you add to that?
The original discussion.
You are, sir?
Ty Rohr, manager of cultural arts for Park District, representative with the liaison with the Historical Society. The original discussion actually happened with the previous director prior to the erection of the statue. And it was at that time quietly when we approached the director with this idea of showcasing that personal collection of Ray's in the favorite space within his childhood library. It was within that time that we were also starting to become aware of the current state of the collection. Concerns definitely grew out of that with the preservation and care of the collection here. Since that time, we still continue to have those concerns. We have worked with the staff, we have worked to help to ensure that that collection would be saved for the future. Since that time of the public library acquiring that collection, it has not been part of the strategic plan, nor has it been part of a remodel here. So throughout that time, we've been working on this for a great deal of time, working to try to get a resolution with that. And the concerns of, is there a historical society in 15 years? Same thing that Josh Bill just mentioned too, the same concerns with that loan agreement. We don't know what future trustees would want with that collection either. And if it becomes part of a strategic plan in the next 2 or 3 years, and the library wants to bring that collection back, that's very detrimental to our current donors, to the current project. The hundreds of thousands of dollars going into just the exhibiting, not just only the money that would go into the preservation care. It's a major ordeal to take on a collection like this. Had Ray approached the Historical Society on this, we probably would have said no originally to taking on this collection because of all the things involved. Since that time, and going into the Carnegie, where we are designing proper archival storage, state-of-the-art storage, now we have the confidence that we can maintain and properly preserve this collection, but also make it accessible for the public to enjoy and to learn about Ray and to learn about the library.
Thank you.
Okay.
Could I just make one more?
Okay,
This will be the last.
promise?
Yeah. I'm not going to get into, quite frankly, I'm not going to get into addressing specific members of the audience. But my concern here is that we are the Waukegan Public Library. And this is where Mr. Bradbury loved libraries, he loved public libraries, he loved this library. And I just believe that we have, I think we're getting comments from various members of the audience who are very informed, but I'm reluctant to start getting into dialogue with the public. I think my suggestion would be for, I don't know exactly how it would work, but for us to somehow be able to have further discussion with the Park District members and Historical Society members about our mutual concerns on this. That would be my suggestion before we make any final decision and final discussion on it in the future. I just feel we should postpone this decision.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we hold this for further discussion.
I'll second.
I didn't hear what you said. There's a back. Is that a motion to table for further discussion? That's what I heard.
I don't want to do a is it table the word I want to use?
I don't know. What do you want to do?
I want to discuss this further. I don't want to just say yes tonight or no tonight. I want to discuss it further. I'd like to hold this for further discussion.
We can postpone
I know
it.
holding is not the correct word that you want to hear, but I don't know what else to say.
Motion to hold is fine. I think it's technically a motion to postpone to the next meeting.
Okay, how about, I like to postpone making a decision tonight.
I second it.
Okay. Will be roll call. Rebecca? Rebecca?
I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second. Can you say what? I'm really sorry.
Hold over,
Holding it for the next meeting.
hold till the next meeting.
So we're saying we're voting on holding this till the next meeting?
Yes, that is the current motion.
Okay. And did somebody second it?
I
Yes.
did. Deborah Scipio French.
Okay, and now we're doing a roll call on voting for that to
Correct.
hold it. Okay, I mean, if I say no, then can we? I would rather just take care of this now.
Okay.
So no?
Okay. Ian?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes, I.
Kathy?
Yes.
Nathan?
May I make comment at this time or no? Is it simple yes or
I think it technically,
no?
comment is passed, but I don't think we actually go for it. So.
I vote yes.
Okay. Respectfully, no.
Yes.
And I will abstain. So it passed with a table. Or withhold. Okay. Next on the agenda is the library vehicle. John?
So as promised before, not to try and bring anything and a whole bunch of information to make a decision, I just making my intentions known that the library vehicle purchased is a 2007 Dodge Caravan, and it's in need of replacement. We keep improving, repairing, putting on new tires, changing things inside the machine, and it's pretty much time to move on and get a new library vehicle. So we're getting long in the tooth tonight, and I don't want to keep everybody, so I just want to suggest that we're going to discuss options and provide those options either at the next meeting or sometime in the early 2022. There is a serious supply chain issue with vehicles. So that's why I'm presenting it now, because it could take us upwards of 6 months to get a vehicle. We're just going to go ahead and let you know of our intentions to do the research. And if it's not the will of the board, then I don't really want to go into running around and finding a bunch of quotes unless this is what the board wants. So please do reach out to me and let me know what your thoughts are between now and the next meeting, and I will start pulling together some quotes and ideas of ways that we can provide a new library vehicle that helps support the mission and vision of the library.
John? Anyone have any questions or about the library vehicle to give direction to John?
Do a motion?
It's not an actual motion, we're just discussing to give him direction so that he can present what we want, what we would actually vote on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think getting getting some quotes, looking at different vehicles, it sounds like a good idea. It definitely sounds like the 2007 Dodge Caravan needs to go or has already gone. So yeah, I would say definitely go for it.
Thank you.
Question, do we ever tow or hitch anything?
We have a hitch on the back of the van, and we bring the chairs from the garage to the front for the concert series. That's about for the duration of our towing hitch. And right now, to go and get building materials for rebuilding our ELC, for example, they have to use the trailer rather than putting it inside the van, or they have to take multiple trips or hire a big truck. So it's definitely, it's meant for a passenger vehicle, not necessarily for a library. So
And did you say we also own a trailer?
we do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hope that helped, not sure. Well, next we have trustee comments. So, same order as before. Rebecca?
Sure. I'm glad to be able to participate virtually this evening. I'm sorry about that last distraction. I did just have my baby on Sunday, so I, I'm just a little out of it, but I'm glad that you guys allowed me to participate virtually. I had a baby boy, so now I have 3 boys. His name is Nicholas Theodore. So that's it on my comments for tonight.
Then you talk to everybody else. Well, I just want to say that I did get another flyer. And I know people in the vicinity of me, not close vicinity, but within my, they have also received the flyer. I don't know what they did, but it's getting out to farther.
We're doing 600, 85, and 87 at the same time. There's still people that don't get it because it's bulk mail, which is why we want to do the distribution points for people that also take it.
It's getting into different areas now.
That's cool. And I'm not stuck in your mailbox.
Thank you. Well, having heard the concern and the more than one individuals expressing really fear about the incident that occurred the day before Thanksgiving. Honestly, I didn't know about it. I'm just saying I didn't. And I really, as a trustee, would good points were made, and I feel we need to honor what they're saying and listen to what they're saying and respond in some way. I don't want our library staff, our excellent library staff, to feel concerned or threatened in any way coming to our library to work. I don't want the public to feel that way either. So I believe we really need to look at this. And if we have some change in policy that we should tweak or improve, well, then let's do it. But we need to, I want to know how we can try to fix it to the best as we can. Thank you.
I would like to, at least I hope that we can resolve the Bradbury Collection at the next meeting. I think we all need to do our research and do a little soul searching and get this done.
First, like to say congrats to Rebecca and Nicholas. Also, I just want to say I appreciate the perspective of my fellow trustees. I really appreciate the fact that even though at the moment we are on different sides of things, I really appreciate how the way that we can still work things through and work together. So appreciate you. Just echoing the fellow trustees, I am very concerned about the incident with the staff and feel like there needs to be, we need to listen and I think that we need to think about ways to perhaps better listen and to realize and address those concerns. So I would like to, I think that's something that we all as trustees should be looking at. And then just echoing Kathy's point, I feel like we all should do our due diligence and come prepared next meeting so that we aren't dragging this out and kind of indefinitely. So, yeah.
I appreciate that we're starting to have these tough conversations about the incidents and starting to point out policies that we should be addressing. I'm about halfway through going through all the policies and I'm more than willing to speak or meet with anyone publicly or faculty, other trustees. We have a governance meeting, January 6th, to have, further develop these conversations. So I'm looking forward to the progress we can build. Thank you.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for being candid and, having an open conversation about the collection. I'll call it a collection. I do agree that we should make a decision at the next meeting on what's going to be done. I do think that there is a lot of questions still outstanding, like say, for instance, Jean had the question, what happened from the time we were going to go from a 20-year loan to now we're just going to give it to you? So I think I would like a better explanation on that. And not only that, I heard that it wasn't a 20-year long-term loan, that it was a 50-year long-term loan. So if there's any documentation on that, that's what I've been told. I don't know. I've heard that. So if there's any documentation on a 50-year long-term loan, I'd like to see that as well. That came up in a conversation I had because I've been doing a lot of soul searching on this situation as already. And I've talked a lot with, looking good at it. Please say your name. Lori. And I've talked with the director, executive director. So, I've gotten a lot of information here. And I think I would like to take a look at the loan agreements, whether it was 20 years or 50 years, whatever. I'd like to see that because I've never seen that. And then again, I'd also like to say I'm very sorry to the guy that.
He's coming back in.
Okay, I'm telling you, I'm sorry that happened to you, that you were attacked that day. I apologize for this person, I had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry that happened to you. And I hope that as a group here, as an organization, as trustees, that we can maybe put our heads together to maybe take a look at our policies and see if there aren't some things we can do to prevent that from occurring.
There's definitely some things we can do to prevent it.
Yes, okay.
You said sorry more times than this gentleman, which is nice. But thank you, I really appreciate that. We definitely need some change.
All right, and so those are the end of my comments.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Brian?
Yeah, so I won't repeat too much of what my other trustee said, but I want to thank the staff for showing up and saying what you guys said. I think it's important for us to hear what your thoughts are, whether it's good, whether it's bad. I don't sit on governance committee, but hopefully those that do were listening to what you guys were saying. And I would implore you guys to attend those governance committee meetings to share more of those thoughts that you might have.
For myself, I really do appreciate that we had such a lively, not sure the right, yeah, conversation. Yeah. And I do really appreciate that so many, I can tell that we're reading our board packets, we're coming with questions, we're asking those questions beforehand if we need to. And I do really appreciate that we are better prepared, and I know this is a big ask, and so it's taking time, but I do appreciate that you guys are showing that you're thinking about it, and all that, so. Yeah. Does anyone want to motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Aye. Okay.
Bye.
Ended at 8:05.
Bye, Rebecca.
Bye, Rebecca.
Bye.